one of the last lines I read in the New Earth mentioned that acknowledging the good in your life is the foundation for all abundance. It goes on to continue that what you think the world is withholding from you, you are actually withholding from the world. And there's two mindsets. There's a scarcity mindset, and then there's the abundance mindset. And very clear to know which one is of benefit and which one is if not. And I'll be honest. Recently, sometimes I've been thinking in not the best way, and it gets you. It really does get to you. You feel stressed, you feel anxious, you're worried. How am I gonna do this with with business, or how am I gonna do this with finding a loved one? How am I gonna do this with family? And you start stressing because you think things are not gonna work out. You think you won't make it to, the goals that you have, you won't be able to achieve. You think life isn't gonna give you what you want, what you need. And the issue here is that you're lacking faith. And that's why I love, in the Bible, it repeats a lot of times how it's this verse. It goes along the lines like this, for he who has more will be given to him, and for he who does not, or for he who does not have, even that he has will be taken from him. And like I said, it goes along the lines of faith, stewardship, responsibility. And to have abundance, to have, financial freedom, to have love, to have beautiful relationships, it does require responsibility. It doesn't grow by itself. You're not going to have a house by yourself. You're not going to have fruits that grow by itself. You're not going to have good relationships with loved ones. You're not going to have a good relationship with your wife or husband. You're not going to have a good relationship with your kids if you don't take responsibility, if you don't put time and effort to it. And that, again, this connects to abundance, because to have abundance, you have to put effort. You have to have faith. And that's a main requisite. Your eyes have to see the abundance. Even if they're not fully nourished, even if that fruit tree hasn't given the amount of fruits that you would want, you have to see the future and have faith that you will get there one day. You will have to see, whoever you're dating, that you will build the family that you want to build, the friends that have that friendship that will be fulfilling. I mean, you have to see it as fulfilling. You also have to see where it's going to go and what it's going to give you. And you have to have faith in that. If you don't have faith in anything, it's not going to work out. If you don't have faith in your partner, you're not going to have a good relationship, because you don't see anything working out with them. With the business that you do, with your family, you need to have faith in that. That's very crucial. And when you have faith, then that's when the abundance comes. That's when that cycle of, good coming to you, of love, peace, and joy, of prosperity in all aspects of life. And you get away from that scarcity, because scarcity, that mindset is the lack of faith, the lack that this isn't going to work, or, I'm not receiving what I should be receiving. The world isn't giving me what I should. And when you switch that around, the abundance of, you giving back to people, you spreading love, peace, and joy, all of that comes back to you multiplied. And it's not a means to an end. Like, you're not doing it just to receive. You don't just plant the tree or, these relationships just to receive something and then just call it a day. It's a cycle that doesn't stop. And that's what gets to me, and that's what gets to people sometimes, that you are in a mindset of abundance, and then something goes wrong, something doesn't go your way, and you switch mindsets. You go from scarcity, like, wow, like you start having doubts, regrets, like, oh, I shouldn't have dated this person, or I shouldn't have started this business, etc. I don't like where I'm at. And that mindset, like I said, you just lost all faith, and that's going to cost you. It's going to cost you heavily. And when you get to this mindset, you have to remind yourself as quickly as possible about abundance, about faith, about trusting the process, about knowing that where you're going to go, whatever happens for a reason, even if at the moment it looks like it's a bad event. But again, you just have to trust. You have to go with it, because if you don't go with it, you're just resisting what happens. And if you're resisting what happens, then you're not gonna be happy. Like, how can you be happy if you're resisting what happened? It already happened. Just move on with it. Like, you have to accept it and move forward. I know it's easier said than done, but there is no other way to do it. If you resist it, you're just gonna make your life miserable. And again, so going back, you have to get back to the right mindset, the mindset of abundance. Everything's just gonna flow with you. You know, if you want to be prosperous in the financial world, you will. If you want to be prosperous with family, with friends, you will. All you need is, acknowledging the good in your life. How I mentioned at the beginning of the video, your eyes have to see it. You have to believe it. If you believe it, you will create it. And so being thankful, even for the small things, even for a roof, even for food, if you have a car that moves, anything, a friend that has your back when you need them, your partner, we all make mistakes, and sometimes we get mad at each other and we're like, oh, I don't like you anymore. And again, our mindset changes to a negative aspect. We have a cloud over our heads. But you have to remind yourself the good. The good, once you start thinking about the good, the bad, it's just part of life. The world's not perfect. Not everything's going to be handed to you the way you want it to. And just accepting that, accepting the good, accepting these are all labels at the end of the day, but just to put it into words, because really you can't put anything into words. Everybody's got their own definition of things. But just to learn from it, have these train of thoughts, hear what I'm saying, and just reflect from it and be like, okay, last year I remember I had a hard time and I was thinking like that, maybe I just got broken up with, or, I quit, I got fired or whatever, and everything was, going downhill. And then, once you got a job again, or once you started dating someone, everything, just got put back together. And it just goes to show that everything does happen for a reason, and that you have to be thankful. You have to be grateful. You have to acknowledge the good in your life, and create, and not just create it, but maintain the mindset of abundance. And God is gonna give you this abundance, and like I said, it's also a responsibility. You have to nourish these relationships. You have to nourish everything that you want in life. It's not just gonna be given to you, and that's why God will give you more. If you are responsible with what you have, with the good in life, God will give you a lot more. God will give you infinite abundance. And if what you have, you don't acknowledge it, or you don't see it, God will take it from you, because you're not even responsible for what you have now. So when you acknowledge the good in life, when you take responsibility, nourish the relationships, nourish what you have, God will give you more and more and more. And it's that infinite cycle of abundance that everybody should live, because, man, it's just a better world to live in if you live in abundance, man. And like I said, remind yourself of this stuff, especially when you're going through, bad train of thoughts. Get yourself in the right mindset and, live the good life, man. Peace.